For the past 15 years, we have become used to seeing the same pattern. Every time tensions rise in the Middle East, the images look familiar. Tall buildings in Gaza collapsing, children running through debris, and world leaders preparing statements that later feel like moments for the history books. But today, March 17, 2026, that pattern has shifted. For the first time in this long conflict, Israel is facing what it feels like to live without a sense of safety. This is no longer about a single, isolated strike that Iron Dome can intercept. Instead, it is wave after wave of missiles and drones, pushing millions of Israelis into bunkers and forcing them to run at every siren. What is even more surprising is that we still do not know the full scale of the damage. This is not because nothing is being recorded, but because the Israeli military has enforced some of the strictest censorship yet. A foreign media manager in Israel openly admitted that the reporting on this war has not been completely truthful. So what exactly happened in the skies over Tel Aviv? And how has Iran suddenly gained the ability to do what once seemed impossible? This video aims to offer geopolitical analysis and historical background on the Middle East conflict. It does not support violence against any side and is intended only for education and discussion. Indian journalist Praj Mohan Singh was present in Israel when the 54th wave of attacks began. He described his unusual experience. Journalists were not allowed near the sites where missiles landed. They were also prohibited from filming the damage. Even hospitals were tightly secured, and media personnel were not permitted inside. It felt like a ghost war, he wrote. We could hear the blasts, we could smell the smoke, but we were unable to show the world what was truly happening. Despite these restrictions, some Israelis continued to record events on their phones. From the limited footage that made it past censorship, small glimpses of reality emerged. In Rishon LeZion, an apartment building had its roof torn apart. In Holon, a fire spread across 3 homes at once. In Tel Aviv, several areas went dark due to power outages. In Bnei Brak, an elderly woman sat in her wheelchair on the street after her home was destroyed by shrapnel. She did not cry. She quietly repeated, "My house, my house." It was the same phrase that thousands of grandmothers in Gaza have spoken over the past 15 years. The difference now was that cameras were not allowed to capture it. So how did Iran manage to carry out such attacks? The answer lies into missiles that form the core of Operation True Promise 4, now in its 56th wave. The Sejjil missile has changed the situation significantly. This solid-fuel ballistic missile travels at a speed of 12 mAh, which is 12 times the speed of sound. From the Iranian border to Tel Aviv, it takes less than 10 minutes to arrive. The Iron Dome system was designed to handle short-range, slower rockets. Against a missile like the Sejjil, the time to react is almost non-existent. The Khorramshahr 4, however, presents a different challenge. This missile is known as super heavy because it carries a 2-ton warhead, according to the IRG. This missile successfully struck a Rafael missile depot in northern Israel. This depot stores some of Israel's most advanced missile systems. If this claim is accurate, the blast would not only have caused structural damage but also disrupted Israel's military supply chain. The numbers involved in this conflict are striking. Since February 28, Iran claims it has launched 700 missiles and 3,600 drones. Israel's INSS has reported lower figures, 571 missiles and 1,399 drones. However, the difference between these numbers is not the main point. What truly matters is the pattern behind them. The attacks are continuous. This is a war of attrition. Each Iranian missile costs only tens of thousands of dollars, while each Iron Dome interception ranges between $100,000 and $200,000. In a conflict like this, patience becomes a key advantage, and Iran, after 40 years of living under sanctions, has developed that patience. But behind these statistics lies a moment that changed everything: the tragedy of the Minang Elementary School. On March 11, 2026, a missile hit a southern area. Israel stated that the target was military, but fragments landed on the school grounds. 165 schoolgirls and staff lost their lives. The average age of the victims was 9 years. A mother in Tehran, Fatima, lost her only daughter. She did not break down in front of cameras. She was not interviewed by foreign journalists, but she attended the mass funeral, standing silently with 164 other mothers. They carried no signs, they only held photos of their children. It is difficult to imagine the depth of their grief. 3 days later, during the Quds Day demonstrations, those same photos appeared across the city. Protesters raised images of Minab students. A young man shouted, "Minab girls, you are innocent, and your sacrifice will not be forgotten. We may not be able to take revenge, but justice will come one day." What stood out was the silence. Among many young people in Tehran who are often critical of the government, they watched the news, saw reports of cities like Tel Aviv and Beersheba on fire, heard about the deaths of 9 Israelis, and one person quietly said, maybe it is time for them to face the consequences of their actions. A professor at Tehran University explained. This reaction, even those who oppose their government cannot ignore the impact of bombs falling on children. It is a basic human response. So why does Iran refuse to stop? Why are offers for negotiation repeatedly turned down? The answer can be traced back to Libya. In 2003, Gaddafi agreed to what the West demanded. He gave up his weapons of mass destruction and opened the door to negotiations. In 2011, he was killed by a mob, and his country remains unstable to this day. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated clearly, "We are not asking for a ceasefire. We are not even asking for negotiations. This is not arrogance. This is a doctrine shaped by collective trauma." At the same time, the coalition involved in the conflict is beginning to show signs of division. President Trump is facing pressure due to oil prices reaching $100 per barrel after the Strait of Hormuz was blocked. He wants a quick end to the war. Netanyahu, however, is focused on a long-term objective of regime change in Tehran. Two allies, but with different priorities. Iran, meanwhile, remains firm. They will not stop unless the attacks stop without conditions, with a population of 85 million and a network of resistance. Across 4 countries, Iran is unlikely to become another Gaza or another Libya. The scale is far larger, and the consequences could be far more severe. So where does this leave us? We may not have the power to stop the missiles flying over Tel Aviv or Tehran, but we can choose not to ignore the truth. When censorship is strong and only part of the story is shown, it becomes important to keep questioning and searching for answers. If you think this perspective matters, consider liking this video, not for me, but to show that there are people who want more than just surface-level coverage, people who want understanding, not just headlines. I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments. How is this conflict being reported in your country? Are the stories balanced, or do they overlook events like the 165 children in Minab? And if you want to follow perspectives that are not often covered by mainstream media, consider subscribing. This conflict is not over. In fact, it may be entering one of its most critical stages. See you in the next video.